On March 8, 2014, a Boeing 777 carrying 239 people disappeared from secondary radar. It triggered the most expensive search in history. The facts were straightforward. A standard red-eye flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, helmed by a captain with over 18,000 hours of flight experience and a first officer on his final training run. For 40 minutes, the cockpit remained in constant contact with ground control. At 1:19 a.m., the pilot issued a calm sign-off. "Good night, Malaysian 370. 2 minutes after that final transmission, the plane's transponders were deactivated. Above the South China Sea, the digital signature representing Flight 370 simply blinked off the screens of civilian air traffic controllers. Because no distress signal was ever sent, the immediate assumption was a sudden, catastrophic structural failure or a mid-air explosion. The narrative changed days later when investigators gained access to Malaysian military radar data. The plane hadn't disappeared because it crashed. Instead, it made a sharp U-turn, banking back toward the Malaysian peninsula. Military records showed the aircraft then flew directly along the border of Thai and Malaysian airspace. This sophisticated flight path avoided triggering the air defenses of either country. The jet maintained a northwesterly heading over the Andaman Sea until 2:22 a.m., finally moving beyond the reach of the last military radar installation. This specific sequence of manual turns and the avoidance of radar detection suggests the aircraft was being guided by someone with a high degree of technical skill and a clear intent to remain hidden. While the primary transponders were dead, a backup satellite data unit on board the aircraft rebooted. This unit began reaching out to the Inmarsat satellite network over the Indian Ocean. This created a series of handshakes, automated electronic pings sent every hour by a ground station to verify the plane's connection. By measuring the microsecond delay in these pings, engineers calculated the exact distance between satellite and plane, projecting an arc of possible locations. 7 hourly handshakes formed 7 concentric arcs, revealing the plane turned south, flying for over 5 hours. The 7th arc represents the final ping. This was the exact moment the aircraft's massive fuel supply was finally exhausted. This electronic trail provided first proof that the plane had remained airborne for hours, traveling into some of the most isolated waters on Earth. This data shifted the search thousands of kilometers away to the southern Indian Ocean. An international fleet began a massive operation to scan the sea floor along the 7th arc. For years, search teams used deep-sea sonar to map thousands of square kilometers of the mountainous ocean floor, but no signs of the main wreckage appeared. In July 2015, the first physical evidence emerged. A barnacle-covered wing flaperon washed ashore on Reunion Island, 4,000 kilometers away from the underwater search zone. Drift analysis and serial numbers confirmed the piece belonged to Flight 370. In the months that followed, dozens more fragments washed up on the shores of Madagascar and South Africa. While these pieces proved the aircraft had indeed crashed in the Indian Ocean, they also underscored the difficulty of finding the main fuselage in such a vast, deep environment. With the forensic timeline established, we can weigh the most prominent theories against the data. The idea of a sudden mechanical failure or cockpit fire is difficult to reconcile with the manual deactivation of tracking systems and the precise navigation along border zones. Similarly, theories of hijacking or a ghost plane caused by crew hypoxia struggle to explain the complexity of the initial turns and the fact that no group ever claimed credit for the event. The most debated theory remains pilot murder-suicide. Investigators discovered that the captain had used his home flight simulator to practice a route into the southern Indian Ocean just weeks before the disappearance. However, authorities found no signs of psychological instability or distress in his personal life, leaving the question of motive completely unanswered. Every theory eventually reaches a point where the evidence stops. The only way to find a definitive answer is to recover the flight data recorders. Government-led searches have officially ended, but private exploration firms like Ocean Infinity continue to propose new expeditions on a no-find, no-fee basis. These private teams use autonomous underwater vehicles that can scan the seabed with far higher resolution than previous technology allowed. The legacy of this disaster is now built into modern flight safety. The industry has since mandated continuous 15-minute tracking for all aircraft over open water. Until the black boxes are recovered from the 7th arc, The fate of Flight 370 remains a series of data points and fragments, hidden in the silence of the deep ocean.